Oh, boy.
Hey, welcome. This is a sidebar kind of figure it out conversation about and now, right? But it's also a conversation about you, Dennis. Where are we right now?
There's a shadow on just face.
Is it me?
That looks kind of interesting. Where is it?
It adds to the dysfunction
Okay,
of
all right.
our...
On whose face?
Your face.
On my face, there's a shadow from.
Well, yeah, no, but now it's gone. So,
All right, I'll be
so we're in Holyoke.
Yeah, we're in Holyoke, but we're also in a space that you've had a lot of.
We are at Cubic Coworks
Okay.
in the Cubit building.
In the Cubit, right. And the reason I mention that is that it just anchors us in this conversation. When I walked into this place and you were with me and I rented upstairs, I said, I'm okay here.
Cool.
And I've been since that, seen many, many artistic, successful decisions that you made. So when you look back at your work, don't you think about this as a work of yours?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah.
And doesn't it give you a certain amount of satisfaction when people
Yes.
come in, even like me,
Yes,
and
it
say,
does.
I love it, I'm
Yeah.
right here?
It does mean a lot, and thank you. And but no ping pong table yet.
No, well, that's coming. It's coming. Be comfortable. But I also think that, in a way, you could give me an example because there were a lot of artistic decisions, and the one that's in my space is an old elevator.
Oh
shaft,
yeah.
Right. And so when you walked in, everything was really raw, right?
Yeah, there was an elevator in the elevator shaft, and we used it for years to get stuff in and out of the building. And then and I'm looking at the part of it that is on this floor, which is the lower, the last stop on the elevator. And it's now a nice little lounge. You won't see it. And the elevator buttons are still there. And I remember trying to keep the elevator buttons up in the apartments, but I was too late. Some guys were working on it, and it was gone, and they filled it in. And it's
So
like, whatever.
you've got a lot of details from it, right?
Yeah.
The boiler over here.
Yeah. My brother and I, we made a point of obviously, paying homage, as it were, to the original Cubit and the original American Electric Cable Company.
Right. Is that what it was?
Yeah, that was. I think originally it was American Braiding Company or something, and then American Electric Cable. And it's interesting because the braiding was, really more not wire braiding, but corset braiding and stuff like that. And then it occurred to me later on that, that technology for braiding anything, the machines that twist, strands into longer fibers, was then used for electrical cable. So it was American Braiding, American Electric Cable Company.
Right.
And
So
then the
how much of what you saw were you able to do? I mean, I just want an inside look a little bit. Like, didn't you have to dream big and then find out what was possible?
Yeah, I mean, dream big, find out what's possible.
When you walk in and you saw the raw
wondering which one-
space, you had to
Yeah.
picture something, because didn't you
No,
have a title?
first comes what's possible, then dream big. Or I don't know, it doesn't matter. They're kind of the same thing.
Or did you have a title like architect, or did you take on any sort of like art? Because I consider it a creativity thing.
I know what you mean, but no, it was, because it was very, my brother and I don't want to say we were flying by the seat of our pants, but we were definitely improvising and we were learning on the job. All this was new to us. But I think we had some, good sense of things. Design, I think both of us have a good sense of design. My brother is a guru when it comes to financial stuff, and that was key because, we had to convince a bank that this was a viable project, and he managed to do that.
On that note, though, I think that you were told you're not going to be able to fill it market right, and you were warned about it.
Yeah,
Because Holyoke is a different kind of place.
I may have also been
Really?
one of those
You're one of those
voices.
naysayers?
Yeah.
All right, we'll make a note of that.
So, but you didn't vary. You felt like you could sell it.
Well, yes. So it's true that I can think of at least one person specifically, and then generally the sense was nobody wants to live down here because it's like old factories that are falling apart and burning every.
Right.
Luckily, the burning part seems to have ended, which is good. But I mean, I lived in the New York City area. I lived in New York. I lived in Jersey City. So it's kind of obvious that, but I guess it's not that apparent everywhere, that factories make good spaces for anything, especially for raw space for artists, artist studios. That whole effect, you bring in the artist and then it becomes cool, and then you kick the artists out and you bring in the...
Right.
Strike that, never mind.
The doctors,
Forget I said that.
The doctors and the lawyers and all the other people
Soho
then,
effect.
because
Right.
the artists sort of like civilized the area for them.
So, but and I think ultimately my brother and I kind of also realized that as long as you just build it right, you can't sort of say, well, we'll do a half-assed thing and see if people like it half-assed.
Yeah.
No, but it was important to get it right,
Yeah,
and we sweated all the details and everything.
Right. So,
Well, I'm curious about, if I may add context, Dennis has known me my entire life. I've only known him for a fraction of his, and I know his brother well. He happens to be my father. So from my perspective, when I was in high school and in college, it seemed like a very interesting time for both of you to make a change in your
You're
life
absolutely
trajectory,
right.
your career.
Yeah.
Up until that point, Dennis had just been my uncle, my crazy artist uncle, who, I have my own experiences with, and then my father, who I have separate experiences with, and they're sort of two sides of the same coin. But then joining forces to make this building, at least to me, seemed entirely random. So I have never understood, as someone who lives here now and also feels very much a part of the community and very much at home here, where did the idea even come from? Because when you moved here to Holyoke originally, it was a new place to me and somewhere that I had never experienced. I didn't know much about art culture or art communities, the Soho effect, any of that.
Yeah.
So I wonder, how did you go from being an artist that was being pushed out of the New York City, New Jersey scene into someone who's looking to foster or develop a community of artists somewhere else?
and you said crazy.
Yeah.
You're still stuck on crazy?
Well, because it's a big adventure, and I think he's trying to say he used to know
It
you
felt
in the
crazy.
days, and
I mean, for my uncle and my dad,
Yeah.
so I'm curious.
Well, to tell you the truth, I think your dad and I kind of have always felt that this strong ambition to do stuff.
Yeah.
And it just seemed kind of natural in a way, and I thought, I'm pretty sure both of us saw it as a really cool opportunity and a really good opportunity.
Right.
Because, if you think about it, like on my dad's side, on your grandpa's side, in that family, there's a lot of really ambitious, entrepreneurial type people.
Sure.
Just about everything
Sure.
in the family. So, in a way, there was, just a subtle built-in pressure, which I think is good.
Right.
And so again, we saw this as an opportunity, and there's this whole separate topic again relating somewhat to the Soho effect. But this is the third place I live in where people told me, "Why are you moving there? Are you sure you're moving? You want to move there?" And I knew already after the first one that that's a good sign usually, that you're doing the right thing.
Right.
Because to me it says, well, that means there's opportunity there. If people don't want to live there, first of all, let's look into it and see what, But I had lived in Holyoke already for
Right.
12 years, possibly.
Right.
Yeah, now it's been 18. So it was clear to me that Holyoke, it was and still is a place of lots of opportunity.
Right.
And this worked out
Absolutely.
very
Yeah.
nicely.
We're both not on the street because it worked out. Good for us.
Good for us.
Right.
Dennis, I honestly, and I've said this before, I generally admire your artistic side. We agree about that stuff. One of the things I wanted to do is set this up so that the audience could see that it was one of your paintings behind us, because you weren't just hanging. Did you kind of malign him, make him sound flaky at some point when he was younger? Because he had this ability to do art and all kinds of things, not just, first of all, that's a very successful painting, and it's very carefully composed so that the way your eye flows around it, and I don't even know what scene it is. What is it? A particular scene of something that happened that you got paid to do, or was it just one of your inspirations?
Do you know where? I think I told you.
No.
Okay, well I can.
And I would love to know.
All right.
Part of the reason I'm so excited to have the opportunity is because I realize I know very little about your perspective on your own artwork. only
Yeah.
my experience with
And
it.
then let me add that this is an interview, in a way, the same way we did And Now, which is we didn't bone up on content before, and that's it. Now, I know you made that in 1942 when the guys were actually crashing to the shore.
Yeah.
We don't have any
We didn't do our
context,
research.
and I feel like it's
1942.
I feel like it's really interesting, Dennis,
Well,
what,
thank
what
you.
you did with that thing, because it's so
Thank you.
successful.
Thanks for not doing your research, because you wouldn't find anything. But,
I think
you know, so yeah, I'm trying to think, like, how I should be direct, right?
I think so.
So it's a very large canvas. It didn't take very long to do, and I was kind of, it was a deadline also. I have another canvas like that that's a different color. It's hanging in the Main Street events. 20.
Okay. Right.
And that, there's sort of companion pieces, and it's photo-based. In fact, it's projected, you know. But so there was one thing, and I do this occasionally. I used, as I said, photo-based. So there was an image that I took, and I basically projected it, and that's what's on there. But there was one element I removed just to give it that vagueness. And what it was on the chests of all the people were numbers. Like, you know, like athletes or participants in a, it is actually like a Tough Mudder type race. But you know, if you saw those numbers, you'd kind of immediately know. But now it sort of gives it this ambiguity that is a little bit like, you know, some people say, is that guy praying in the foreground? Is the other person crying? Or is it an exile? Is it a war scene? Are they soldiers?
Exactly.
Are they, you know, so
See, to me, if the numbers had still been left in, and that's the kind of art decision you've made about a lot of things around here, you make the art decision because art, though looking at numbers, would have bounced you out of your own imagination trying to figure out what the numbers were. As it is, I'm very fascinated at looking at the way it feels. So anyhow, you're reliable about that, and in the conversations that we've had, and by the way, I brought a list of all the shows we did as well.
Cool.
So we can say, and I thought for a while we should try to cut them in and don't go looking for them, because I think it's better if we just say, look, we did the mayor just recently, and he talked about the art of the mayor, and that's the show. And now, you also at some point decided it would be interesting to put them into Holyoke locations.
Yeah.
So we did that with artists. We found out the artists are really not that great at talking necessarily, but they're wonderful representations of what, like, Silas Kampf.
yeah.
Yeah.
At the Masonic
Lodge.
Lodge. Okay, so
Yeah.
Masonic Lodge. So remember, it's the Masonic Temple with the Mount Tom Lodge. I forget the details.
Yeah, I think so
Okay.
too. One or the other.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll cut to that. That's brilliant, by the way.
No, I love.
I wanna
love
see
the
what you're
fact
doing.
that-
I love this.
I love the fact that you. All right, let me say it a different
Yeah.
way. I love the fact that you gave me the opportunity to do this thing.
Oh, well,
I really
it's
feel
like
like
mutual,
I feel
obviously.
like we learned, and I want to talk a little bit about it because I feel like the talk show arena of people who are familiar with it
Yeah.
is not a place where you can lie. I honestly feel like you can
Really?
pursue the truth. I mean, if you've been lying about the stuff you've been up to till now, I think people would kind of go, I don't think so.
No, you're
but
right.
it's all there.
Well, I can't. I mean, maybe
Well,
it's not
you
for
know,
us, but I still think
there are
there's
people-
lying going on. In
There are people who can do it.
Yeah.
I think I could sometimes, but I try not to. My feeling is that talk show does harmonize with what we've tried to do.
Yeah.
Suppose somebody said, now, what did you imagine you were doing when you asked me to do that? It was your idea, and I'm saying, I don't know. I just would naturally say yes. You know?
Good. Yeah.
Do you have an idea that a talk show for you was going to do what? Because it turns out it's work to do. And I say this to people all the time. By the way, fun is work.
Yeah.
That's.
Well, actually, I mean, I also always say yes to stuff. I always want to do stuff.
Okay.
And one thing I didn't expect is that you and I would have kind of this easy rapport and kind of no empty spaces. I mean, both you and I like talking a lot.
And
but-
like interrupting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love interrupting.
I know, and we interrupt each other, and it's fine. But the question really
But
is,
I thought we would be doing a lot more kind of experimental shit and stuff,
Right.
which I'm kind of glad we're not, because I kind of did that already once, and that can be very tedious. I know this can be tedious, but
it is.
fuck you.
He's afraid of tedium.
Aren't we all?
But no, are we? I'm not sure. Anyhow, I think that, do you have a particular one you liked? Because I think that Mike Tillier was another person who's got a... And
That was actually the one that was the most experimental.
It was,
with,
and
you know.
it had a good background that you picked out
I
of the video.
like the first one,
I
the
do
pilot.
too.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they all
Mike is a
had
great
to
guy.
be interesting guests, so we
Yeah.
didn't have to say, okay, if the guest is dull, don't worry, we'll hang, you know, most
But
of them were.
you know, that would be a challenge. Let's try to find the most uninteresting guest
Oh, thanks.
See what you
and
can
draw stories out. It's like, yes, and then what happened?
Right, and now?
And now?
We didn't worry about that, Dennis, because actually, first of all, I'm more worried about the fact that I'm an older guy and not very photogenic, and you always look good, so you didn't have to
Well, you got
say
that cool
anything.
shadow on your face. That's
All right, I'll turn this way, this will be
No, I
better.
like
Now it's even better.
no,
Thank
it's good. Yeah, it's like
But
this.
what I'm saying is,
And you're a sculptor, so this is like this perfect.
it's true, it's
Yeah.
true. But here's the thing. Now that you've got this up in this edifice, and we've got a few, I think we have 10 shows, right?
Yeah, 10.
Really, I think a lot of them are worth watching, but
Yeah.
we've got that. Do you feel like it's something that, you know, you've done like this place and you want to do something different, or do you feel like the show is going somewhere? Because
He's trying to get
these
me to
people-
commit to something right on camera.
I don't think I could if I wanted to. You know, but I feel like we've done it a lot, and any artist who feels like they've already done it makes it harder to do more.
Sure.
But I always think that people themselves can redeem it, but getting those people, like I think Len Berkman, for
Yeah.
instance, was great.
Damn, he was good. Yeah.
But he was all in his milieu, it wasn't in some other milieu. But he had,
Yeah, but it worked out beautifully.
but you had a great lighting thing.
Thank
But
you.
he has a ability to remember everything, so he could tie it together. It was fun.
I know, and we could have gone hours with him.
I know, and we
we
did
should
a
go
little
back.
bit.
Maybe
We
we
did
should
a
go
little
back.
bit,
Ask
yeah.
him for part 2.
Okay, so we're done.
We're done. All right, bye.
Thanks, guys.
No, Dennis, I really feel like
Your turn.
we don't have to decide
Yeah.
anything right now, but I do think that.
No, I
people
know. I'm sorry. I was being
understand-
facetious
I am
somewhat.
always, but I think.
No, I
really
want to keep
enjoy-
doing stuff for sure.
Yeah, but I think we'll have to decide exactly what's right. And so, how do you fit in?
Yeah.
Well,
Speak up, young man.
thank you for the opportunity, if I may, take over from here. I see.
Since you're too shy to. run.
Normally, I'm on the other side of the camera.
I'm
a
sure.
FAA certified drone operator.
Oh, nice.
Check me out.
What's
The
your
opening
website?
shots
Should
of
we
the
have given
What's your
Well,
website?
chance-
My what?
Please. Well, I see a great opportunity here to learn more about my uncle, who's always been sort of an ambiguous figure in my life.
Damn.
Sort of,
Ambiguous?
right? Because there is a side to you that I don't think I know at all. Like
Well,
I
it's because
said,
you and I didn't see each other often enough, and I think
Right.
this is damn good that you're here now.
I know, and I love
You're gonna
having
get
the
tired of me.
opportunity.
I'm trying to-
You, trust me, as my landlord, I'm already sick of him. I'm already sick. I owe him
Why
3
not?
months' rent.
Don't say anything.
I have my own experience with Dennis growing up, which has always been fun. Dennis has always been my fun uncle, my only uncle, so I guess. But my fun uncle.
So that means I'm the most of
You can
everything.
be everything. Yeah,
I'm
you
also
can be
the worst
everything.
of everything.
Right.
We
But
just stop interrupting. Just-
that's the whole dynamic here. We already covered it. The
I'm
audience
kidding.
knows.
Go ahead.
FF.
Go ahead. Get him to say
When-
this.
when
Say
we
your
were
piece. will you?
In New Jersey, when I was young and visiting Dennis, that house, to me, was the most out of reality experience as a child. And I won't forget it because growing up in a suburban setting and going to a more, I think it was a row house that you
Yeah.
lived in, wasn't it?
150-year-old.
You know, pretty tall but very narrow. And Dennis is one of the only people that I knew that used the word groovy very often. And the aesthetic of your place
You can relate to
was
that.
very much
You
in that.
you invented groovy.
Yeah.
I never said groovy
Two of the
once.
grooviest guys I know.
Oh, bullshit. Okay, keep on. Keep
But
on.
there's something about, I don't consider myself an artist or even someone who sought out painting art, sort of this style of art that you've always done.
Yeah.
But I've always felt very drawn to your paintings. I think that I am a fairly emotional person. I'm taken aback by emotionally expressive, whatever it is, music, art, people, it could be anything.
Yeah.
And that's one thing about your artwork that I've always found, even when I was too young to put it to words, is that it provokes some kind of emotion. all of your art pieces around this building, around your house. You know, your house to me was never like a museum or a collection of your pieces. It was more like an experience of what's going on in your head, in a way. But
That's definitely it.
it's very difficult to answer those questions for
Yeah.
myself, and I didn't even know that you use projections.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, how do you take an image and turn it into an emotional experience for someone?
Yeah. So I said when you just said that, I said that's correct, but with an explanation. I know that it's something that's going on in my head, but I don't know what it is at the time I do it. Like, I'm like, this seems so random. You know, for some reason I picked this picture and I decided I'm going to project it really large and do this in this one color. I don't know why, but I'm not going to, I'm going to just do it. And then later on, when I start looking at all these paintings, I actually start reading and I'm like, oh, and it happens years later, decades later. I'll look at it and it's like, oh my God, I just realized blah, blah, blah. So it is definitely self-analysis. And they're always there for me to look at and go, man, what the fuck was I thinking?
Have you revealed any patterns to yourself?
Sure.
Eating regularly.
Yeah, okay, there. Yeah, thank you.
I like to help out you. It's an old talk
Is that
shop
called a
trick.
Hail
Taking
Mary?
this
Or
first
what is
thing
it?
in the morning?
Think of something, but I want to get right on that because Chuck's, oh God, I can't say it now. The painter was right down the street.
Close.
He's very famous. But anyhow,
Chuck
he did a
Close?
lot. Chuck Close.
Yeah, he's
and I
close
was
by.
right down the street from him.
Chuck's real close.
And when I was in New York.
Oh, really?
And I
Oh,
did
cool. I didn't
photograph
know
some
that.
of his art for him, and I got to know
Really?
him. Yeah,
Nice.
and one of the questions I asked him is, he does all those little delicate things, and he's got this whole system because
Yeah.
he was wheelchair
Yeah.
bound. But the thing is that he said, I don't know how it happens, but when I'm done,
Interesting, yeah.
there's more in it
Yeah.
than the original.
And
which
also
always
because-
turns out to be
yeah.
true. So it sounds to me like you're tracking them without knowing.
Yeah, and actually it's funny that you say that because I was actually going to mention this before. Like, imagine doing that, which is 8 feet, almost 8 feet tall by 6 feet wide or 5 feet wide. And actually I think that they're kind of life-size figures, maybe slightly larger.
Sure.
But when you're that close and you're doing this because it's projecting, you're literally just, you don't even know what you're filling. It's like, well, there's a dark spot, blah, blah, blah. But I love that. I love that it's all abstract, really close up. And I can totally see how with him, because his pieces are large and he does the little doodles.
They're not all large, but the point is,
Oh, yeah, they aren't
is
all large,
is that those little
From the
dots
small-
that he puts in,
yeah.
he has to concentrate the way you're talking
Yeah.
about watching.
But there's also a system that he has. And then this
Oh
is
yeah, well, he's hard won, but let's just say, right now, because we're doing very well, I think, in understanding of this guy. Right?
Sure.
So here's the other thing. I think at some point you said you wanted to go back to painting, but the market doesn't invite us and one of our to do it because one of the things you said right in the beginning, you've got extra paintings around.
Yeah.
And the people have them in their attics and their basements, and we wanted to deal with that. And in a way, there should be a show saying, okay, we're going to do it to all the hidden paintings in the valley or the art gallery and get them out.
Yeah.
Because right now, we really need to get people out and see what's here
Yeah,
and find
I
out
agree.
about each other. And I hope our show is like that. But
Yeah.
can you feel like you can go back to your work, and do you need a market for that?
I think I'd like to think I can go back to my work, but the market would probably still continue to be me. It would be,
And me,
and you, yeah. But I mean, I would be doing it for my own sanity and my own self-analysis. But
Okay.
because I've never really kind of focused on selling them, as it were.
Right.
I mean, I've tried giving them away, but that doesn't always work.
no, it doesn't. It
I
doesn't.
took 3 recently.
Yeah, and I was thrilled.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to do the transition. Okay, we'll do it on a camera live. We're going to switch around,
Okay.
and now you can
Okay.
talk to me. Don't go anywhere. Just sit right there. Slide
Can I ask a
your chair
question?
over.
I have a question.
No, I'm sorry. No questions yet.
All right.
If I may. He was
What
starting
do
to
you-
smell bad.
But we may have to do the lighting differently. But here's the reason
Yeah.
I'm saying it is. Okay.
Now Dennis gets the shadow.
Well, yeah, I saw it now. Why the shadow was there.
Or maybe I just have a big head.
Well, yes.